Hello, my name is Martin Miles, and I'm going to show you how you can utilize publishing targets in Sitecore and all that in order to make a preview environments for your marketing team or other people you may not want to have access to Sitecore, or for some reason maybe they are not technical, or maybe it's too complicated to do, but you want to give them an environment where they can see the content very close to the way it will be published into the target website. On the other hand side, you might have a digital team or content authors who are in a way of creating large content, and they want to have a demonstration of it halfway down before they get some final result, and they want to get some advice in order how to make this content or how to make it better. So with these two combined, you might end up having an environment where you can show halfway done content to non-technical people, and that's only for internal purpose. And luckily Sitecore comes out with something that is very helpful and addressed to resolve that exact issue, and it is called publishing targets. So from the very high scope, publishing targets is a separate database. So you might know you have web database, and that is publishing target. Now you can create a separate target database working in parallel with web database and serve the content outside of it. But how does it work? So how does Sitecore differ? Which database to serve out? And in order to do that, you may want to create a separate host name. And when people come to your website with specific host name, you will be serving them preview content, while for the other cases where the people come with default host name to the default website, they will be watching the live website. And this is something I want to demo out now, and I will show you how you can achieve that with Sitecore and with configuration. So first of all, what we need to do is to create a new database, and the simplest way to do that will be create a web database copy. So we need to clone it and restore. So what I have so far, I have a clean vanilla Sitecore 9.3 installed with this host name. So I have the sample website running, and I have Sitecore, and I have databases already there, and that's our donor web database which we are going to duplicate. So in order to do that, I will be using a copy database task from SQL Server Management Studio. But one thing I need to mention before going ahead is that you need to have your SQL Server agent up and running. Let's do that. So that's my agent, it's offline. And another thing I want to let you know is that you might want to use it under local system account in order to prevent some permission violations. So when the service creates some temporal data, it needs to get the permission rights to do so. So let's use it under local system account. Anyway, let's start the service. Now it's up and running, and we are ready to make a copy of database. That's very simple. We have source server and database destination server. We are using detach and attach method as the quickest. We don't care about users because it's clean vanilla Sitecore. It won't affect anyone. That's our source database. That's our target database. Run immediately, and here we are. Right, the next thing you may want to do is create connection string for that newly created database, That's quite simple. You just simply open your connection string configuration and duplicate web database connection string. Let's rename it. You can leave web user as it was in web database. It's already there. It already has all the permissions set up, so nothing to worry about at all here. Right. And in order to make your life simple, I prepared ready-to-use configuration snippet for publishing targets, and I published it here at my GitHub gist. So let's take a look what we have. So first of all, I create a new site record, and that's with the only purpose of enabling the host name. So when we try to access the website, our Sitecore instance with this host name with previous subdomain, what happens in that case? Then it will serve us this database. It's called preview. I will show you how it works exactly in a minute. Uh, but let's take a look at this configuration. So we have this host name, and we specify the database to serve content from. One important thing here is to disable HTML caching. We don't want to have it. We want to have a clean preview. And another important thing is to have this host name physically set before the website, because the website record is quite captive record in your site under your site's nodes, and it will take most of the requests. So we need to serve this request first, and only the rest will go and be served by website. As for websites, we have a new website called preview. So that's ID of the website. Um, Basically what we have here, plenty of settings copied from web database setting. One important block is blob storage. You might need to ensure you have it under your database definition here in configuration. Without it, you'll get plenty of phantom errors, especially dealing with media library. So please make sure you have it. And there are two more things we need to have here for database configuration. Two providers. One is event queue provider, and another is property store provider. Not too much to be done, just copy it from web database as the rest of the things. So we use an web event queue and web property store. So far so good. And let's copy this configuration under include folder and refresh our Sitecore. It will take a little to recycle app pool. Meanwhile, what we can do, we can go into IS setting and add additional binding. So as I said, we are running 9.3, and with version 9.3 we have only HTTPS bindings. So that's the one served by default website. Right, let's create new one. Preview HTTPS, and just for the sake of this demo I'll be using IS Express Development Certificate. Of course you'll be using the proper certificate you create, but for this moment it's fine. Let's use it. And of course we need to update our host file. Right, now we have Sitecore loaded, and I will show you the main setting for publishing targets. Still loading. So publishing targets are defined under the system node, and publishing targets, that's in master database, and you have the one default called internet. You might think when you do publish you see this internet being checked by default. What we do is we duplicate this record, we call it preview, and we point it to preview database. Now this is the very interesting setting. This publishing target can be assigned to workflow states that are not the final state. So let's do that. I will explain in a second. And go to workflows. So we have a sample workflow with 3 state as they are coming out of the box. We have approved, which is final state, and we have 2 non-final state. So what we'll do is because we enable that checkbox, now we have additional settings where we can say this draft state is okay to publish to preview database. And same we do for awaiting approval. Boom. So now what we can do, we can publish items in non-final state to preview database. Let's do a quick experiment. So first of all, we see if preview site is up and running. Yes, we have this new development certificate. Accept. Yes, it's up and running. So now we go to Sitecore, and what we do, we create a new page under home. We call it test. And save. Now let's publish this page. So now we have 2 publishing targets. We have the web database and we have preview. Let's do publish to both of them. It's fine. So it's very interesting stats. What we have, we try to publish to web database and we created 0 items on web database. At the same time, we published to preview and created 2 items there. Why? Because we are accepting non-final state items into preview database, and web database is just default live website database. It's easy to check. So we switch from master to preview database, and what we have, we see this test page here under the home item. But if we switch to web database, we will see nothing. You see nothing. So that is how it works. But in more advanced solutions, of course, you will be utilizing indexes with Sitecore. And the way you develop the website is that the content is being consumed from index. And if you don't have index, that means you will not likely be able to utilize preview website. So we need to create and enable Solr index for that preview website. And let's do that. So first of all, I decided to create a separate core for this preview index. So in order to do that, let's make it from command prompt. Well done. Now we need to get a Sitecore configuration for that index. And what I did, I also prepared this configuration file at my GIST. So that's the one. I copied standard web index configuration, and the only 3 changes I made is that index name. Then I also changed the core, so I will be using an isolated core for that index, and of course the database to get content from. So I also have this file here. Let's copy it into destination. So that would be app-config Sitecore content search. Let's give it more meaning name. And here we go. Okay, let's take a look at control panel. That's where we have indexes configured. So firstly, we need to populate manage schema for that new core. Well done. There is one more small adjustment we need to make for the schema. We need to change unique key to unique ID. And because we changed the Solr, we need to restart Solr service. Let's stop it and start it back. Mm-hmm. Now in Index Manager we have this preview index. Let's rebuild it. Done. And try to see our changes in Solr directly. So that's Solr admin interface. Let's pick up our index. Sorry, let's pick our core. It should be here. That's here. And do some querying. Full path. As I remember, that was Sitecore content home test. I've got a typo here. Yes, here we go. And you see, this is our item created at preview index, generated from preview database, and it does not present at web index and web database correspondingly. So that was the quick way how you can set up publishing targets and make it as preview environment. And thank you for watching.